Covering the stories that impact your life, your town, your state, and your future. This is the Means Report with your host, Brad Means.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Means Report. We appreciate you spending part of your day with us, and we wish you the happiest of New Year's. It seems as if it's been quite a while since we've tackled the headlines of the day. We spent the end of 2017 and the first part of this year talking about some holiday issues, some lighthearted things that we like to bring your way to be in tune with the spirit of the season. And so we enjoyed that for sure, but we're looking forward to getting back to the hard news of the day. And it is a busy agenda on the Means Report, I can assure you, talking about things that impact us here at home and in Washington, D.C., nationwide for that matter. Congressman Rick Allen, the District 12 representative from these parts, is going to talk to us about what is on tap for 2018 as far as upcoming legislation. Tax reform making big news of late, and as we check our withholding in our January paychecks to see what the benefit is for us, we'll get him to talk about the overall impact of tax reform. And the Farm Bill Reauthorization efforts underway right now in our nation's capital to see that through, something that's near and dear to the Congressman's heart because of his role not only in farming, but on the Agriculture Committee. And Congressman Allen, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be here. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you.
Let's begin, though. I think it's appropriate, needless to say, to talk about Congressman Doug Bernard's 16 years in D.C., really setting the standard for service in these parts. Yeah. Your thoughts on his death?
Well, we're in mourning. I mean, what a great American, what a great community leader here, a great mentor for me. Doug was there at a really unique time in Washington. Under the Reagan administration, there was probably more bipartisan legislation passed than in the history of the United States Congress. And Doug was a big part of that. Doug was a key on Financial Services Committee with his banking background, and we're going to miss him terribly. He's just one of those kind of folks that we're losing our greatest generation. He's a legend, and so big shoes to fill.
Big shoes indeed. He loved his country, and he certainly loved this community, and we send out all of our best to his family. Let me ask you about President Donald Trump. Also, as we record this on Friday, he's making news once again for allegedly using profanity when referring to a couple of predominantly African nations. Your thoughts on the possible use of that kind of language when talking about those countries?
Well, obviously, I don't approve of that kind of language, number one. But then again, the president has been misquoted and whatnot. I mean, I think the last thing I heard is he said he was going to have to record everything that I guess he says. So, but it's unfortunate. That kind of thing is difficult because there are certain media outlets that are just waiting for him to just at the wrong time misspeak. Well, you remember the Romney comment that he was on tape and he said, I don't need 47%. I need. And what he was referring to is he needed the 53% to win the presidency, and obviously the media picked that up, that he didn't really care about 47% of the country. But I can tell you this president cares. He cares about this country. He wants America to be first. We've got some serious issues in this country. I agree 100% with his agenda. These sideline things are unfortunate, but it's part of the job. And like I said, in this business, you just have to be very, very careful about. Everything can be misinterpreted, Brad, for crying out loud. It's very difficult. And we're in a position. That's the shame right now in this country. It's so divided and so divisive that it's just, I don't know, it's very difficult.
Do you think that an issue like tax reform, as we move on to that agenda item, can be something that unites us? This is something that appears to benefit a lot of people, yet you still have people saying, no, it doesn't. It's just for rich folks. It's just for corporation. But that was the big news maker since the last time we met, tax reform.
Yeah, we had the leader of the other party describe all these great announcements by these companies as pathetic.
Yeah.
I could not believe what I was hearing.
Why is that? Just why can't there be agreement or unity on anything? Why is there that division you mentioned?
Well, I think I know the reason. I think that they are afraid this is actually going to work. Mm-hmm. And when people see their paychecks at the end of this month, it's real. But what was fascinating about this, Brad, we didn't see this coming.
Yeah, it did seem to come out of the blue there at the end.
Well, when we passed that, obviously, President Reagan's tax reform, it took 2 years longer than he wanted it to. It had an 18% approval rating. I think anytime you try to change things in Washington, mm-hmm. There is just the tremendous opposition to change. Our old tax code, nobody understood. I couldn't get a CPA to tell me that he understood it. So we had to have reform. But what has been amazing has been the response. I mean, we had a local, I met with some, the Hotel Association yesterday, and one of our hotelers here in Augusta has said that he's now going to be able to offer his employees health insurance at no cost.
Because of the reform.
Because of the reform.
Yeah, we've seen changes already at Walmart. Yeah. They're making huge changes.
$9 to $11. Now, you know, the minority leader said that's pathetic. That's an 18% raise. I mean, versus where we were for the last 10 years, I mean, that's good news. I mean, that's a big deal.
Well, when you talk about this, and it is something that impacts everybody in the country, how might this play out in the midterm elections? Might this be the boost that the Republicans need to keep on going?
Well, you know, all that's up for discussion. In the high tax states, yes, there's going to be, those races are going to be difficult. Mm-hmm. But overall, obviously, I don't think anybody argues that tax reform had to be done. It was one of the things that was really holding us back. My hat's off to Kevin Brady, Speaker Ryan, and all those that have, and they've been working on this, Brad. It's been 33 years since we've done tax reform. I mean, things change. I mean, look at where we are now versus 33 years ago. We needed a tax code that would fit this time and this place. We have it. It is an amazing piece of work. Give you an example. I was in the small business world for 35 years, mm-hmm. and my tax rate was, when I ran for Congress, was 39%. Well, it's going to be 25%. Now, the people that are now owning and running that company are pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 14% that they can add to invest, to grow that company, and to add employees.
Let's look at how we are working to help our farmers make it through some tough times. So the Farm Bill Reauthorization Act is set to expire this year. What are its chances of getting reenacted, and how will it help those men and women on the farms?
Well, you know, the Farm Bill is always controversial, and simply because there are a lot of states now that don't have a lot of agriculture. It's not their prominent industry. In Georgia, it's the #1 industry, mm-hmm. By far. In the 12th district, it's the #1 industry by far. So, and I sit on the agriculture committee, so I've been very involved in this. We have had hundreds of hearings, listening to farmers, listening to distribution, listening to everyone about the needs. The Farm Bill was originally instituted as a national security issue to kind of smooth out. Farming and commodities are like this, and again, the president is right about trade. Trade is a problem, and right now our farmers, commodity prices are too low, and our farmers are, it's been very difficult for them.
Is it oversimplifying it to look at this bill as just a way to make sure that farmers get paid even when times are tough and that they continue to be able to farm?
It's kind of an insurance policy.
Yeah.
And because, you know, the average person that walks in a grocery store and looks around and said, you know, hey, why do we need farmers? Well, guess what? You know, if we already have a textile industry, for example, that we let get overseas. So now our cotton industry is totally dependent on the Asian textile industry. So they can dictate what they pay for our cotton. Yet we buy this shirt. And so we're not using our buying capabilities with with regard to our raw products. So there's just, you don't, obviously from a food essential standpoint, no nation, I mean, if you don't have food, I mean, you can't drink oil, for example.
No,
you have to have food and water. You take the supplemental nutrition program. That was all started because of our military in World War II.
What do opponents say when you say, look, this threatens our very food supply? Is it behind the scenes, Congressman? I've asked you this before, what really happens, you know, when the cameras are turned off? Behind the scenes, is it just a matter of people who oppose this bill saying, okay, I'll get on board with you, Congressman Allen, and I'll help out your good Georgia farmers if you do this, this, and this for my state that doesn't depend on agriculture? Is it a bunch of that?
Well, I mean, obviously you've got to get 218 votes in the House and you got to get 60 votes in the Senate. And so, and there is give and take. I mean, that's just, I mean, it doesn't matter. In the business world,
sure, that's how it works.
I didn't get everything I wanted, okay, on every deal. There's give and take, and eventually you take the best deal you can get and you try to do what's right for the American people. It's like votes. Every piece of legislation has things in it that I really, you know, I'd like not have to vote for that, but at the same time, you know, for example, we got to pay our soldiers, okay?
Yeah, we are going to talk about, we do want to talk about military spending.
But the Farm Bill, like I said, farming is an amazing industry today, and to tell you how things change, for example, and the problems with the Farm Bill, just before World War II, 98% of the population of this country worked in agribusiness. Today it's less than 2%. But it's still essential.
Yeah, no, I think about them. When I go in the grocery store, I think about you on the agriculture committee. I think about our farmers.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
If they failed, what wouldn't be there for
We
us?
have, and again, we have the most stable supply and the most economical supply in the world.
Well,
and if you want your grocery prices to go up, forget about our farmers and don't support them, because you know, part of this whole process is to, one, keep prices very competitive at the grocery store so everyone has access to good, safe, quality food.
Well, we're going to continue to keep our eyes on that. And farmers, I'm glad that we spend a lot of time on that, because typically we'll hit the agriculture part of our list of topics at the end of the broadcast. I wanted it in our first segment. The Congressman works hard on your behalf in that area. When we come back, we're going to talk immigration. We're going to talk cyber. A lot's been going on that front in Augusta for sure in recent weeks, as our interview with Congressman Rick Allen on the Means Report continues.